Right, gentlemen, we critiqued Sir Keir Starmer's rather wooden Christmas message in the first half. Should we have a little look now at Kemi Badenoch to see if she's done any better?
Christmas is my favourite time of year. So many of the things I love happen in December. Having lots of family around, seeing my friends, eating, drinking, having fun, making merry. It's absolutely the very best time. And I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone, not just in the Conservative Party or in my constituency, but across the country, for all that you have been doing in your communities, supporting each other and helping to keep all our towns, villages and places going. I think that Christmas is a time for us to reflect on all that's happened in the year. Sometimes we have amazing years. Sometimes, like when I lost my dad, we have difficult years and we're commiserating, but we do it together. But it's a time for us to support all of those people who need our assistance, who need our help, who need our support. And that's one of the best things about Christmas, that it isn't just about all of the things that we love and want to do, but thinking about other people. And so my message to everyone this Christmas is have a happy one, but also remember all of the people who might be in your community or even in your family who need your support, and let's not forget them either. And I'm looking forward to 2025. I wish you all the very best for the new year and all of the exciting things to come. Happy Christmas.
I mean, look, it's a little warmer than Keir Starmer's. We can't deny that. It doesn't look particularly Christmassy to me, Piers. I feel like she could have been stood in a sort of summery display there. And she says things like making merry. Nobody says making merry in real life, which just shows you she's trying to talk like it's a greetings card. It's not heartfelt.
No, I didn't think it was terribly convincing. And I'm afraid it's a bit like her performance as leader of the opposition. It just lacks impact. And I doubt she'll be leader of the party this time next year. Really?
That's a huge claim. What makes you say that?
Well, I think there's already stirring going on. And I believe Robert Jenrick behind the scenes, I'm told, is getting very antsy about the way things are going. And I have no doubt that they will get increasingly alarmed by the success of reform. And that is simply growing by literally the minute, as your membership numbers show. I don't think Kemi will survive a year, because she's making no impact in the House at all.
When you say the membership, we're not talking about GB News membership, we're talking about Reform UK's membership, 125,112 members as of now, 6,500 behind the Conservatives. Very clever that Reform UK have done this, and they're ticking up the numbers as people sign up to that. Is that a surprise to you, Nigel, to hear Piers say that Kemi Badenoch might already be on her way out? She's only been there 5 minutes.
I'm surprised about the timescale that Piers puts on it. I'd have thought that she had a couple of years.
Yeah.
So that part surprises me. I don't think she's doing terribly well. The Christmas message we heard, they didn't actually say anything. It's all platitudes and the Tory party are very good at getting rid of their leaders when they don't think they're doing well. Labour Party, not quite so much. They don't do it.
Sadly.
Well, they don't do it. They're not as brutal as the Tories are. I'd have thought they'd have to give her 2 years to see how things work out. I would expect there will be certainly one change of leader before the election, and possibly two, depending on who takes over. At the moment, they don't look like an electoral force.
Well, they've got no momentum, and they've also got a front bench of has-beens, people who can be easily blamed for a lot of the problems that the Labour Party
But that's what's inevitable, isn't it? After 14 years in power, you end up with the has-beens. It's what William Hague inherited after Labour's win in '97.
The trouble is she committed to giving all the candidates running for leadership a front bench job, which she needn't have done, but she did in order to get just so she could become leader. So she's got this, quite frankly, bunch of has-beens who no one trusts and no one likes. And if you're talking about change, real change would come from the Reform Party. And increasingly, Nigel Farage is seen throughout the country as the leader of the opposition. He's certainly the most effective communicator. And if you ask people in the street who is leading the opposition, most people, I'm sure, would say Nigel Farage, whether you like him or not. He is.
You say that, Piers, as somebody that supported the Conservative Party for decades.
I have, yes. I mean, it saddens me to see that they've lost their way completely. Personally, I think as a party, they're very close to oblivion. I think they're very nearly finished. And the reform, I have absolutely no doubt, the way things are going and with the momentum they've got, they will win the next election.
Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it if we'd rewound a couple of years that you'd have somebody that supported the Conservative Party?
Yeah, and I don't...
So many years sitting here saying that.
Yeah, I think that the Tories really did do a bad job over the last few years. Too many changes of Prime Minister, some of them not terribly good. Calling the election was mad when Rishi Sunak did it. As far as reform goes, we still have a first-past-the-post electoral system, and that's really unkind to small parties. We've got to remember they've only got 5 MPs, and I appreciate that they came second in 98 seats. I appreciate that their vote share was pretty good, 12%, the Lib Dems 14%. Lib Dems come up with 72 MPs, just having 2 points more, which shows how skewed the system is.
They're growing so rapidly, as the membership numbers show, but also in the council elections that would have happened in May next year, which look like being stopped by the government because they're terrified of losing them all, which they would do.
Well, there's a reorganisation going on. Well, there is a reorganisation going on, so it depends on whether or not...
The reason
there's no point voting for a district council that's being abolished.
Anti-democratic reorganisation to stop people voting and showing their dissatisfaction.
Well, no. That's not totally fair. If they're going to reorganise local government and you've got councils that will be abolished, then there's no point having a vote and then abolishing them immediately afterwards.
No, because exactly, but why abolish them? What they're doing is taking the democracy away from smaller local councils into these Labour mayors on bigger, and it's going to be
There is a strong
disastrous
argument for having unitary authorities and getting rid of some of the local councils. An awful lot of services,
Sadiq Khan's around the world.
An awful lot of services are duplicated. So local government is ripe for reform, and obviously that, if that coincides with local elections, it becomes difficult.
Just about every government reforms local government, and it never works. All it does is cost money and do more harm to local services. And this is perhaps the most gigantic reorganisation and disastrous one about to happen, because everything this government has done so far has been disastrous, and this will be even worse. But it's also so bad because it's taking democracy away from the people, something I believe that will come home to roost with Labour very, very strongly.
Let's talk about our armed services. I've been trailing this morning, and this is this idea, Nigel, that a fifth of soldiers can't be relied on to fight. What's happening here?
Well, what seems to be happening is that they've all got medical problems. And so, for instance, there are an awful lot of soldiers who need basically Goldilocks weather. Not too hot, not too cold, just right, because they can't cope with either hot or cold.
What? It's an actual medical condition?
I don't think it's a medical condition. I don't know what the medical condition is that stops them being able to fight in the...
I think it's called malingering.
In certain temperatures. But that seems to be what is happening. It is appalling. I mean, the idea that soldiers aren't fit enough and there are sailors who can't go to sea, well, you'd think that's really part of the job description, to be able to go and sail on a boat somewhere. So, and we've got the army being reduced in size anyway, so we'll be dropping to below 70,000 troops. So it seems that John Healey, the Defence Secretary, really has got to get a handle on this pretty quickly.
I mean, goodness knows why this is going on.
Has this figure gone up, or has there always been?
I don't know. Well, I mean, for years, the Army have always referred to the RAF as penguins, because you always see a lot of them milling around together with no one obviously in charge, and none of them can fly. And it would seem that they're all malingerers as well. Well, I mean, it's a huge percentage of people who are taking a perfectly good salary and all kinds of benefits to malinger. And if that's the case, they should be out.
Well, are they malingering? What's wrong with them?
Well,
they need physiotherapists?
What the report doesn't say is exactly what they're suffering from. What are the problems?
But you don't have firemen afraid of fire, do you?
No, I mean, otherwise
it would be a basic...
It's part of the job description
Yeah.
that you would go out there and go and do that.
If soldiers don't like loud bangs, I'm sorry, they shouldn't be soldiers.
No,
Extraordinary. Absolutely unbelievable. Right, I think we've run out of time, fellas. How are you spending your Christmas Day? Apparently we haven't quite run out of time. How will you be spending Christmas Day? You're probably on GB News, aren't you, Nigel? You are
on Boxing Day I am, but on Christmas Day, no, with the family.
Lovely. And you've got you and Claire Purcell, who we see on the show quite a lot, and children, teenagers you've got.
Yeah, with Claire's son, 16-year-old son.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Next year he'll be getting a car.
And the star of our Christmas will be my 7-month-old grandson, Charlie.
And are you in London for that, Piers?
No, we're near Newbury.
Fantastic. And who cooks? You?
No, my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a very good cook. Yeah, and my daughter-in-law, who's very good too.
And how many of you will sit down then for Christmas Day?
There'll be 12 of us, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because I've got all the family. It's just as Christmas should be, I'm glad to say.
Fresh air and a walk. Do you know what I like to do on Christmas Day?
Yeah, but in the afternoon, a walk out. Claire will have her horse.
Of course, yeah. I always go for a run on Christmas Day morning. When we've done the presents, and before we end up, with the sort of melee of cooking and feeding kids and all that sort of stuff, I just get my trainers on before I have my shower and I go out. And even if it's like 20 minutes...
And how far do you go?
Good idea.
Not far. 20, 25 minutes. I just think I'm going to eat all day. So I might as well do it with a slightly clear conscience.
So you get some calories off before you actually start adding them.
Yeah, that's the point. And actually, I didn't realise until we spoke to Lucy Beresford today, the psychotherapist, she was saying the key to a harmonious Christmas, especially for mums, is to have a bit of time to yourself if you can in the daytime.
Yeah,
so that's what I'll do tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll go out and have a run. And then do you know what I like on Christmas Day when I do my run? Saying, Merry Christmas to everybody that you run past. I might even put on a Santa hat.
Well, a lot of people think mother-in-laws should have a lot of time on their own, actually.
Well, yeah, we'll leave that there.
We'll move on.